Alright, great time to make this video because I just got back from a walk and I live in Florida and it's like 10,000 degrees outside at least. So I wanted to chat about something that I really struggled with when I was in the anxiety cycle, and something that most of my clients struggle with, and that is existing in the heat. Okay, and maybe this is because you have panic disorder, maybe this is because you have a really big fear of fainting and you feel dizzy, or chronic dizziness, triple PD, or maybe you've been diagnosed with POTS, right, and you feel very fragile and very not okay in the heat. All right, so my story, right, you can catch it on my YouTube channel. I've got the whole story, but basically went from normal to not normal overnight, became agoraphobic following a surgery, could not leave my house, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't walk from my bedroom to my kitchen without having a panic attack. I could not drive, didn't drive for a very long time. I couldn't stay home alone. I couldn't shower alone. I couldn't take care of my kids. I couldn't do anything. And I was so crippled by the fear of fainting, my dizziness, derealization, hated the panic attacks, of course, and I just felt very unsafe, and I felt like something was wrong, right? I felt like something was very wrong with my body. Went to Mayo Clinic, got diagnosed with POTS, among other things. But basically what I would say, looking back, and what I've experienced with most of my clients, is actually all my clients that I've coached that POTS, is that POTS is simply a symptom of a dysregulated nervous system. Okay, so yes, you can meet criteria for POTS. Sure, there's genetic components for POTS. I have Ehlers-Danlos. I have different things that contribute to these genetic disorders or whatever. And but again, what I would say is, if you don't have a dysregulated nervous system in the mix, you don't have an issue. Okay, so it's controversial, but it's true. All right, so anyway, going back to all this, I just wanted to disclaim that with the POTS thing, though, because I did have POTS. I do technically have POTS, but I don't currently meet criteria because my body's not under stress anymore. All right, so I made the mistake in the beginning of avoiding, right? I did not know what was going on with my body. I was going from doctor to doctor to doctor, every scan, every test, constantly monitoring my blood pressure, constantly monitoring my pulse. And so as soon as my pulse started getting high, I was thinking, oh no. And what does that oh no do? What does that what if I pass out do? Well, it elevates it even more, because you're adding adrenaline to an already adrenaline-fueled fire, and then it becomes this self-fueling cycle. So naturally, I wasn't leaving my house. I wasn't doing anything. And when I eventually got to the point where I was doing some of these things, then I realized heat. Heat is a problem, right? And at first, everything was a problem. And then it was heat. Heat became a problem. And so I'm in Florida again. I step outside, I'm hot, Walk into the car, I'm hot. I'm walking to Target, sweating. And I very much avoided being in places where I would get overheated, right? Even the bath. I didn't take very hot baths. I love me a hot bath. I take one every night now. But I would not take too hot of baths. I would not take too hot of showers. I would feel like I was going to pass out. I definitely would not exercise or anything that would make me feel overheated. Not a chance when I walk around the neighborhood in the heat. Even when I got to the point where I was going on walks again, heat became a problem. So all that to say, the real problem was actually not the heat. The real problem was my response to it. And so I created a monster by fueling this, right? And telling myself every time that my heart rate would spike, I would say, oh no, I almost passed out. Oh my gosh, babe, my husband, I almost passed out. I was 1 millisecond away from passing out. Oh, if I had gotten any hotter, I would have passed out. Well, what's that doing, right? That's signaling to the brain, to the body, that we are not safe, that heat is a huge threat. And so what's really happening is your body is misfiring, right? Your body is misfiring. It's trying to keep you safe. It's detecting threats everywhere, right? Not just heat. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably have a lot of other symptoms too. But it's detecting threats. And so when you reassure it and tell it, yep, that's dangerous, now it becomes even more solidified, and that adrenaline fight or flight response becomes even more solidified. So how to get rid of that fear? Because I literally felt like there's no way I'm gonna be able to ever go in the heat again. I'm not gonna be able to go to the beach. The thought of walking, oh my gosh, walking from my car to the beach, I thought there was no way I'd ever do that again. And it's funny because it's like, even now when I go to the beach, like my pulse is flashing between my eyes, like not because of anxiety, but or my nervous system, but because it's so flippin' hot and I'm carrying children and, you know, bags and stuff like that. And it doesn't scare me anymore, right? Now I'm just like, whatever. Okay, I'll get to the car. I see it over there. I'll get there eventually. But yeah, it all felt impossible. And so I'll tell you now, fast forward to where I'm at. I go to the beach all the time. Just got back from a couple mile walk, still sweating from it. I go in saunas, I go in steam rooms. Like, heat does not bother me whatsoever anymore because I feel safe in my body and I trust my body and I understand what's going on in my body despite what my body's doing, you know? So I think the first step is knowledge and understanding, and then it's showing yourself like that you're not fragile, because I think that's one of the biggest issues when we get stuck in this health anxiety, agoraphobia, etc. scare, is we feel so unbelievably fragile and we feel like we're doing anything, we're overdoing it. Oh no, we're gonna crash, you know. And there's all this information, of course, on POTS, and there's all these groups you can join, and everybody's like, oh, be careful, be careful, be careful. And that fuels it. It really does. And like, no, I'm not saying like go crazy. And obviously, if your doctor gives you a reason to not walk in the heat, don't walk in the heat, of course. But in general, you know, God built our bodies to sustain themselves, you know? And like, yes, they can get in this false alarm mode, this chronic fight or flight mode, but our bodies will sustain themselves, you know? So if you are dealing with this fear, there are practical steps out of here. I recommend basically, one, watching my webinar in my bio, learning the IDEAL acronym. That's something you can use. Two, create a schedule for yourself. And so we're going to start living schedule-based and not symptom-based, because when we're living symptom-based, we maybe go on that walk one day, wake up the next day, and we're like, there's no way I cannot get out of bed. And really that day is the most important day to show yourself, yes, I can. You know, yes, I can. I am safe. And so schedule-based, not symptom-based. And really just baby steps is what I did. Some people rip the Band-Aid off and go full on. I was a baby stepper, and it was like, okay, I'm going to sit outside for a few minutes. I'm going to tell myself, hey, it's okay to be symptomatic. It's okay. This is just adrenaline. These are just symptoms. This is a false alarm. All right, move on, you know. And maybe I had to do that 100,000 times, you know, and that's okay. And then eventually I built myself up to being able to walk around, and here I am now, super long walks, sauna, beach, steam room, whatever, you know. So I want to encourage you that you can get here, and whatever it is that you're feeling and fearing, and however long you've been stuck, it doesn't matter, because you can still overcome this. I guarantee you. I have coached people that have been in this for literally 30 plus years, and they come out of it. So I want to encourage you. I hope this is helpful. And if you're dealing with this, let me know in the comments. You're not alone. Go watch my free webinar right now.